Usually hidden among leaves or fallen logs on damp forest floors, mushrooms are organisms that most of the time go unnoticed by the majority of people, which is truly a shame, since the kingdom of these beings is home to some of the most beautiful and visually unexpected forms found in nature. From bioluminescent species to mushrooms with colors and textures so intense and striking that they seem unreal, these are exactly the ones, along with a few others, that we have gathered to present in today's video. PIXIE'S parasol mushroom. And we are already starting by talking about a mushroom with a truly spectacular appearance, and that can be defined as an extreme example of visual delicacy within the kingdom of fungi. Popularly known as the PIXIE'S parasol mushroom, this species features an intense and translucent blue cap, frequently described as turquoise or sky blue, with lighter edges that reinforce its ethereal appearance, and, when moist, this tone becomes even more vibrant. This species develops almost exclusively on decomposing logs, in extremely humid and shaded environments, being recorded mainly in Australia, New Zealand, and Pacific Islands, and despite its reduced size, its visual impact is immediate. This is because in macro photographs, which is the technique of capturing images of small beings or objects at their real size or magnified, it appears almost unreal, as if it were made of glass or created through some artificial intelligence image. And it is precisely this combination of intense color, partial transparency, and diminutive scale that makes it considered one of the most visually enchanting mushrooms in the world. Wrinkled peach mushroom. Popularly known as the wrinkled peach mushroom, this species stands out for its unusual and almost sculptural appearance, since its cap has a deeply wrinkled surface, covered with veins and irregular grooves, while its coloration, similar to that of a ripe peach, ranges between pinkish, salmon, and light orange tones, creating an organic look very different from the pattern associated with more common mushrooms. This species grows exclusively on dead wood, especially from broadleaf trees, and can be found in parts of Europe, Asia, and North America, but almost never in large numbers, which makes it considered an extremely rare mushroom today. To conclude, in addition to its peculiar appearance, young specimens of this species may present a slightly fruity aroma, described by many people as similar to apricot or peach, which helps to further reinforce its resemblance to the fruit and ended up inspiring its popular name. Parrot toadstool. With a cap that displays intense shades of green, often mixed with yellow and blue, creating an almost iridescent effect, the green parrot toadstool is one of the most visually striking mushrooms that exist when it comes to color, and in addition, in humid environments, its surface becomes viscous and highly reflective, as if it were covered by a layer of varnish, which further contributes to its magnificent appearance. Unlike many forest mushrooms, this species also tends to grow in open areas, considering that it is typically seen in natural grasslands, pastures, and areas little impacted by human activity, which makes its coloration even more striking against the green background of these environments, generating a beautiful contrast between glossy texture and saturated colors, which makes the green parrot toadstool another mushroom with a visual appearance that seems artificial, in addition to also being one of the most famous and photographed in the world. CYPTOTRAMA asprata. Found mainly in tropical forests of Asia and Oceania, where it usually grows on decomposing wood, CYPTOTRAMA asprata is another mushroom that draws attention for its truly unusual appearance. This is because this species has a cap covered with thick orange or yellowish scales, with a surface that seems to reflect light irregularly depending on the lighting, creating a visual effect similar to oxidized metal, rust, or glitter. When young, the coloration of this fungus is even more intense, which makes it extremely visible even in dense and shaded environments. And the most interesting part of all this is that these scales are not only decorative but also help protect the body of the mushroom against excessive moisture loss and possible physical damage, which is vital for its survival in variable or dry environments, and also against the attack of small insects or other invertebrates that may try to feed on it. Rosy bonnet mushroom. Now we are going to talk about the rosy bonnet mushroom, another species that stands out for its refined beauty and that can be found in temperate forests, generally associated with leaf litter, which is the accumulation of dead leaves and plant debris on the ground, where it acts directly in the process of decomposition and nutrient recycling, which makes its presence an indicator of relatively well-preserved forest environments with stable humidity and an abundance of organic matter. Visually, this species displays soft pink tones, which may vary toward lilac or pale pink depending on age and lighting, and its stem usually shows lighter tones than the rest of the structure. However, it is important to be cautious, considering that despite its delicate appearance, the rosy bonnet mushroom contains toxic chemical compounds and is generally fatal when ingested, which makes it a species unsuitable for consumption. HYGROCYBE miniata. with a striking appearance marked by colors that make it easily recognizable and allow it to stand out among dozens of other species. HYGROCYBE miniata is a mushroom that draws attention for its small size, but still maintains a strong presence in the environment. It occurs mainly in natural grasslands, lightly managed pastures, and moist open areas, usually on nutrient-poor soils, where competition with other species is lower. And although it is small, this mushroom displays intense shades of red, orange, and scarlet red that make it easily identifiable even from a distance, despite its reduced size. And the most interesting aspect of all this is that this coloration is not only elegant, but also serves a protective function, since in many organisms in nature, strong colors are associated with chemical compounds that discourage predators, acting as a kind of natural warning that protects the mushroom. VISCID violet court mushroom. Another mushroom that draws attention both for its appearance and for the chemical and ecological characteristics it carries is the VISCID violet court mushroom, which occurs in temperate forests, generally associated with broadleaf trees, forming mycorrhizal relationships with their roots and actively participating in the exchange of nutrients in the soil. The cap of this mushroom species displays an intense violet coloration, which may vary toward bluish or purplish tones depending on age and environmental conditions. And the most interesting aspect of all is that when moist, its surface becomes extremely viscous, creating bright reflections that further highlight its color, and that in addition to producing a stunning visual aspect, also helps reduce water loss and protect the body of the mushroom during drier periods. Another important fact to mention is that, despite its attractive appearance, the VISCID violet court mushroom is not recommended for human consumption. This is because, although some sources describe it as edible, the general consensus is that it should be avoided due to its similarity to other species of its genus that are known to be potentially toxic or even deadly. Bioluminescent mushrooms. Now, setting unusual colors aside for a moment, we are going to talk not about a single specific mushroom species, but about several species of these organisms, responsible for one of the most fascinating and extraordinary phenomena in nature. This is because these fantastic organisms we are about to discuss are capable of emitting their own light in the dark. This incredible natural glow occurs due to chemical reactions, resulting in a greenish or bluish luminosity, which can be observed mainly at night in humid and dark environments. Currently, around 100 species of bioluminescent fungi are known, distributed across several different genera and found in various parts of the world, especially in tropical forests of South America, Asia, and Australia. As for the reason behind the glow of these fungi, it is believed that it may serve different ecological functions. In some species, it is thought to attract insects and other small animals that help disperse their spores, promoting reproduction, while in others it is believed to function as a way of deterring predators. But regardless of the purpose, we can conclude that it is a simply fantastic and impressive natural spectacle. Purple pinwheel mushroom. Found mainly in tropical and subtropical forests, growing on dead leaves and plant debris on the forest floor, where it plays an important role in the decomposition of leaf litter, helping recycle nutrients in warm and humid environments. The purple pinwheel mushroom is another extremely small mushroom, but one that is ecologically interesting and visually easy to recognize. This is because its cap displays an intense purple or pink coloration, often with a darker center, while its stem is thin, dark, and rigid, a combination that creates a strong contrast and gives rise to the popular name pinwheel for the species, since depending on the angle from which it is observed, this mushroom truly resembles a small pinwheel or spinning wheel. Magpie mushroom. Easily recognizable by its extreme color contrast, with a black cap covered by irregular white scales, the magpie mushroom is a fungus that receives this name precisely because of these striking colors, which create a pattern that resembles the plumage of a bird from the crow family known as the magpie, and which, like the mushroom, also displays its body in black and white tones. However, this distinctive mushroom species does not draw attention only for its contrasting visual pattern, but also for the unusual biological behavior it exhibits throughout its life cycle. This is because, like other mushrooms from the group known as ink caps, it undergoes a process called autodigestion, in which its cap gradually begins to liquefy, transforming into a dark and viscous substance, whose main functional purpose is to facilitate the release and dispersal of spores to new areas, where new fungi can germinate and grow, without the need for an animal or any type of pollinator to ensure their reproduction. Caesar's mushroom. Popularly known as Caesar's mushroom, this uncommon and highly prized mushroom has the origin of its name directly linked to ancient Rome, where it was one of the favorite foods of the early rulers of the Roman Empire, and was therefore considered a noble food, reserved for the elite, which ultimately earned it the name Caesar's mushroom, as a symbol of prestige and gastronomic refinement in antiquity. This species grows mainly in temperate to warm climate forests, usually in association with trees such as oaks and chestnuts, forming mycorrhizal relationships that assist in the exchange of nutrients between the soil and the roots. And, with regard to its appearance, Caesar's mushroom can be defined as one of the most beautiful and visually balanced in the world, considering that it features an orange or reddish cap, smooth and well-defined, combined with bright yellow gills and stem, creating a clean and harmonious appearance. Amethyst deceiver. Popularly known as the amethyst deceiver, this singular mushroom, like most of the other examples we have seen so far, does not stand out for its large size, since it is relatively small, but that does not make it any less visually striking. This is because this species is mainly characterized by its intense violet coloration, which is both beautiful and distinctive, and can range from a vibrant purple tone when young to a paler and faded shade as it ages or under dry weather conditions. This remarkable species grows in temperate forests of North America, Europe, and Asia, usually associated with specific tree species with which it forms a mycorrhizal relationship, benefiting both the fungus and the tree, as it helps with nutrient absorption from the soil in exchange for sugars produced by the plant. And although it is considered edible, this species is not highly valued in cuisine, as its flavor is mild, and its texture can be somewhat fibrous. And in addition, this mushroom has the ability to absorb heavy metals from the soil, which means it can become contaminated in polluted areas, making its consumption potentially dangerous. Porcelain mushroom. Now we are going to talk about the porcelain mushroom, another truly beautiful mushroom, which can be found in humid forests of Europe and Asia, and which receives this name for an obvious reason. Its white or slightly translucent cap is covered by a thick layer of mucus, making it extremely smooth and shiny, and thus, under ideal moisture conditions, it literally appears to be made of glass or glazed porcelain, which explains its popular name. However, despite its delicate appearance, the porcelain mushroom is a resilient organism, adapted to cold and constantly humid environments, and which, unlike many fungi that emerge directly from the soil, is a species closely associated with wood, actively participating in the process of decomposition and nutrient recycling in the trunks of living or recently fallen trees on which it grows. Hairy trumpet mushroom. Generally found growing on decomposing wood, especially in tropical and subtropical regions, and with a shape that resembles a small trumpet or funnel, with irregular edges that reinforce its rustic appearance. The hairy trumpet mushroom is a mushroom that draws attention not necessarily because of its coloration, but because of its unusual texture. This is because it has a surface covered with fine and dense hairs, creating a velvety or fuzzy appearance, which means that even though its coloration, which ranges between shades of brown, beige, and cream, is not as colorful or striking as that of other species we have seen so far, it is still considered one of the most beautiful mushrooms in the world, thanks to its shape and texture. Bridal veil stinkhorn. Now, we are going to talk about another impressive mushroom species that draws attention for its distinctive and unique appearance. Popularly known as the bridal veil stinkhorn, this species is famous for its delicate yet exotic look, with its most striking feature being its fruiting body that displays a white lace-like structure hanging downward and closely resembling a bridal veil, a visual trait that makes it easily recognizable and has earned it worldwide fame. This remarkable mushroom can grow up to 25 centimeters in length and is found in tropical regions of the Americas, Africa, South Asia, and Australia, with its life cycle beginning in an egg stage, where the fungus appears as a white spherical structure, and as it matures, the fungus emerges from this structure covered by a viscous gleba that releases a strong and unpleasant odor, similar to that of decomposing meat, which attracts insects such as flies that help disperse the fungus's spores. Currently, the bridal veil stinkhorn is consumed in several parts of the world, especially in Asia, where it is appreciated for its crunchy texture and delicate flavor, and is frequently used in soups and gourmet dishes. But beyond that, it also has several other properties and uses. In traditional Chinese medicine, for example, it is valued for its antioxidant and antibacterial properties, being used to treat inflammatory diseases, stomach problems, and neural disorders. And in addition, it is known and appreciated in many parts of the world due to its reputed aphrodisiac properties and the belief that the mushroom's odor may induce sensations of pleasure in some people. Fly agaric. Having appeared as the Smurfs' house and often referred to as the Super Mario mushroom, the fly agaric is probably the most iconic mushroom in the world and is immediately recognizable by its bright red cap covered with white spots. This intense coloration serves not only as a striking visual feature, but also as a biological warning signal, since these contrasting colors function as a natural sign of toxicity, discouraging consumption by animals. The fly agaric is found mainly in forests of the northern hemisphere, associated with trees such as birches, pines, and firs, forming mycorrhizal relationships that are essential for soil health and surrounding plant life, and, despite its coloration, that often discourages most natural predators. Throughout history, this mushroom has been widely used by humans, especially in shamanic rituals and cultural traditions in different regions of Europe and Asia, due to its psychoactive effects when prepared in specific ways. LACTARIUS indigo. Now we are going to talk about another very interesting mushroom that in this case also stands out for its distinctive and striking blue color. Known by its scientific name LACTARIUS indigo, this fungus is easily recognizable by its impressive deep blue coloration, which makes it one of the most visually remarkable mushrooms in the world. And this tone ranges from deep blue to bluish gray, fading to a greenish shade as it ages or when it is handled. This mushroom grows in soils of temperate and subtropical forests of North America, Central America, and some regions of Asia, always associated with trees, forming mycorrhizal relationships that assist in nutrient absorption. And despite its unusual appearance, it is edible and consumed in some cultures, being prepared in various ways, with its flavor described as bitter and slightly peppery. In addition, another distinctive feature of this mushroom is its ability to exude a milky blue liquid when its flesh is cut or broken, and this liquid contains substances called lactones, responsible for the mildly peppery taste and for the oxidation that causes the bluish color to change over time. VERDIGRIS agaric. Found growing in soils rich in organic matter, often in forests, gardens, parks, and shaded areas where there is an accumulation of leaves, plant debris, or decomposing wood. The VERDIGRIS agaric is a mushroom that stands out for displaying a cap with tones that range between bluish-green, greenish-blue, and deep green, often with a viscous film that becomes more noticeable under high humidity conditions, and in many cases, small white scales may also appear on the surface, adding texture and making its appearance even more distinctive. In addition, with aging, the color of the VERDIGRIS agaric tends to darken or lose intensity, creating interesting visual variations throughout its life cycle. However, despite its attractive appearance, this species has questionable edibility and is often considered non-edible or poisonous, although there are conflicting reports in Europe, where some describe it as edible but with an unpleasant taste, while Western field guides list it as poisonous without detailing its effects. Scarlet hood. Small in size and with a cap that displays an intense and uniform red color, ranging between scarlet and carmine tones, while the stem usually follows the same coloration. The scarlet hood is a mushroom that occurs mainly in natural grasslands, old pastures, and lightly managed lawns, growing on nutrient-poor soils with low human interference. And for this reason, it is frequently used as an indicator species of the environmental quality of these ecosystems. Under humid conditions, the surface of this mushroom may develop a slight sheen, making it even more visible among the vegetation. However, despite its striking appearance, the scarlet hood has no culinary value, since even though it is generally considered edible by most specialized sources, it attracts little gastronomic interest due to its small size, viscous texture, and lack of a distinctive flavor. Sky blue mushroom. And to conclude, we're going to talk about another blue-colored mushroom that also stands out for its remarkable beauty. Popularly known as the sky blue mushroom, this small mushroom, found mainly in New Zealand and in some areas of India, usually grows in moist native forest soils and is a notable species due to its vibrant blue coloration, which gives it a unique appearance. This striking intense blue color is due to the presence of pigments derived from azulines, the same compounds found in some corals and insects, and despite its hypnotizing appearance, it is not considered edible, and its level of toxicity is still not fully understood. To give an idea, the sky blue mushroom is so iconic and plays such an important symbolic role in New Zealand that it has even appeared on the New Zealand $50 banknote as an icon of the country's biodiversity, with its rare and incomparable appearance making it one of the most photographed and admired mushrooms by nature and mycology enthusiasts around the world. But what do you think? Which mushroom was the most surprising and fascinating on this list? Let us know in the comments which one impressed you the most, and if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all the content we share here. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.